Mr. Gibson. Mr. Grimm.
Here. Please stand for the pledge. Mr. Kelly.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I'm going to assume we have nobody signed up for public comments. So it's still Alex, take it away.
All right, and thanks for joining tonight's live broadcast of the Streetsboro Board of Education meeting. As I said, I'm Alex Antonczyk. Tonight's meeting, as usual, being held in Denver in the cafeteria. Back to you.
Thank you, Alex. Moving on to approval of minutes. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the minutes from what dates? 5/30/18 as listed in
I'll move.
first and second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Gilbert. Yes. Mr. Kelly. Yes. Ms. Bowers.
Yes.
Mr. Gibson. Mr. Grimm.
Yes. Motion carried. Moving on to reports, superintendent's report.
Okay, I'm going to go see if Mrs. Wheeler is ready. If she's not, we're going to probably jump right to, actually, before we do that, Mr. Kelly, at the last board meeting, when Mrs. Bauer brought up that we were going to do a casual board meeting,
Yes.
and I believe you made the comment that you wanted to wear flip-flops, and that created a little bit of a stir on the board. So Lindsay Zanker and Randy Timipaw came up with this idea.
Oh, no.
And it was in honor of you, Mr. Kelly, during casual board meeting. So what they did is they actually ordered, it's going to be a pilot project. We're going to actually sell these next year to staff. But they actually ordered something for the board to wear. We're going to Streetsboro slides.
Nice.
And these are going to be so that you guys can actually truly be casual this summer.
Okay.
So I've got a pair for everyone. The large would be a men's size 10. The extra large would be 10.5 to 12.5. Extra large size 13. Denise, we'll start with you. And then the medium would be a 7.5 to 8.5.
We'll keep it large.
Here's Denise.
Okay.
There's your slides.
Thank you. I can't wait to put on all my Streetsboro gear.
You surprised me. I wear 10.5.
All right, so we probably need to go to extra large for you. There you go. There's your slides. Extra large for Mr. Grimm. And you can, like I said, this was a brainchild of Lindsay Zanker and Randy Timipaw.
Yeah,
Right?
Extra large.
There you go. And anyone else that wants them, you have to pay $15 for them.
How much are they?
$15 a pair.
I apparently have 2 left feet.
Oh, wow, that's kind of cool. What did we say, large?
Or 2 right, yes.
Actually, mine are 2 lefts.
Oh, you guys are really difficult.
I'm good.
Those are ideas.
I need 1 right.
I have, are they extra large? Yes, I'll trade you one.
See, that's worked out. See, you get on the board, you never think you're gonna have conversations like this.
So I would say have Mrs. Zanker and Mr. Timipaw.
I will definitely take it.
Yeah.
I have a feeling these will sell real well.
Baseball teams,
They don't love
these.
What is your 3rd grade?
Oh, yeah, these are going to sell real well.
Baseball team
Carl,
will
what
love
is
it.
your 3rd grade?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Daulbaugh.
We covered the cost for yours, but we're going to sell them.
Thank you very much.
So I hope Mr. Gibson has really big feet. But I have left out
He's pretty tall, so.
either a large or an extra large.
So he's out there listening on his way here.
I'll tell you what, he's a pretty tall guy. I think we're going to give him a bit of extra large.
Yeah, that'll work.
All right, so let me know how you enjoy your comments, but again, these were in honor of Mr. Kelly's suggestion to go casual. So I expect to see everyone wearing their slides at the July board meeting.
You got it. You got it. Thanks, Mike.
No, this was really small.
You
I
can't,
mean, the younger kids do, but I'll agree with you.
I mean, baseball players, they love these kind of sandals because they don't have to take their socks off and wear them. So these.
If you look at them, they're pretty, I mean, it has a nice arch support.
Yeah, I noticed that. I feel my son might feel sweet about that. Thanks, Mike.
And so Darlene, our promising practice, she presents every June to all of you. She's making her way out with what looks to be, I hope you guys get to eat dinner because we have a little bit of everything for you. Darlene does.
It's a smorgasbord.
Yes, good Swedish term. Points.
I hope there's a Swedish fish on there too.
No, it does look like a full tray.
This is some of the stuff we're gonna make and we have made before.
Thank you very much.
There you go. You need one? I'll grab it. Here's somewhere. I'll grab it for you.
So do you start with breakfast or dinner?
Whatever you want.
Or breakfast for dinner.
And which one do you share with me?
Well, I thank you for inviting me. And I have a couple things that I'd like to bring your attention to for this school year. Okay. And one of the things is, of course, this is the end of another year. And having said that, in front of you is a binder. I'm sorry, I was confused. I had them up there, I have a binder for each of you. And you can follow along. It's the same as what's on the screen. Yes, thank you. And I wanted to thank my cohort. That is Melody Braun. She is the Student Service Director at the high school. And she was gracious enough to volunteer to help me with this.
Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you.
One of the items that I wanted to address tonight is the new Payson Central feature on our point-of-sale system. When we first purchased the point-of-sale system, we ran our pay program through Pay For It. In early April, the escrow company switched to Pay School Central. It is faster. If a parent tries to log on to Pay For It, it automatically gives them a link to get to their child or children's accounts. And when they open that up, everything is right there. It should read exactly as what their Pay For It did. The one good thing about it is I have directed parents how to do that by giving them their ID number, and they put it in, and within 4 minutes it was down to the school and online. So it is much faster than what Pay For It was. And another good feature is the parent can email me right through there and ask me a question, and I can get back to her, and so that also prevents a lot of phone calls that I have. The next page, I included just a copy of the patron activity, which is also a patron balance report. A parent can see this on their Pay School Central, and it shows the dates, it shows their child's purchases, it shows how they paid for it or how they didn't pay for it. And this also lets them see the child's balance at any time. Sometimes it is a surprise. Okay, the next 4 pages is actually a recap of each school. And starting in November, our participation started dropping. Participation affects reimbursement. Now that the dropping of the participation for different buildings has variable reasons. The biggest reason was we had 8 snow days this school year. An average of 5,100 lunches was not served in those 8 school days across the district, and 2,256 breakfasts was not served. So barring whether they were free, reduced, or full pay, we were looking at a loss of probably about $19,000 in reimbursement. So that is quite a lot. And second of all, the odd and freakish absences that our department had this year just increased our losses. After Easter, I started photoshopping menus from Applebee's and magazine. Any place I went, I was taking pictures of their food. Some of the items that we are promoting tonight, I actually can do, and that's what I did. That's what I wanted to let you taste them and see what you thought of them. I want to try some new things. As my ladies and myself, we knew that we were not doing well at the end of the school year. We item you have, I call it Rise and Shine, but it's just an egg omelet. And right now it has bacon in it, but I also have little teeny tiny cubes of ham that some days I actually can make it with ham. And I think not only the students, I think the staff would buy that. And then I went ahead and, you know, we're notorious. Streetsboro's known for their sausage and egg muffin. And now I went ahead and I put bacon on it and not the sausage. And the kids really liked that. So that's another thing that I think, you know, will help us out with breakfast. The only thing with breakfast is allotting time for breakfast is a little tricky in the scheduling. Now, in May, the last couple weeks of May, I did offer that bacon cheeseburger that you have, and it went real well. But the main thing I want to try, and I never tasted it, is I am going to call it a rodeo chicken sandwich. And if you notice, McDonald's sells a knockoff of it, Applebee's has the same thing, and some of the bigger places are also selling the sandwiches with the French fries on them. So that sandwich actually is a chicken patty and a white cheese. And then I have fried onions on it, stripped of bacon, and then barbecue sauce on top of it. Does it taste good? I never tasted it.
Yeah, it's actually very good.
Well, I'm hoping the students like it, and the staff. To me, the staff is lost revenue. You know, they're there.
To the public, it's pretty good.
So, well, let me tell you something. You know, Mike's always told you about trying to get these things to fit. On that bacon burger, I went to a 90-10 beef. Now that's pretty much pure beef as you can get. Well, it is the purer the beef, the lower the calories. So I traded the calories in a 70-20, 80-20, 70-30 that was lower, and was able to put 130 pieces of bacon on it. This time I have regular pork bacon. I can try the turkey bacon, but we've had that in the past years and kids wasn't fond of it. So that's what I did. By getting the higher percentage of beef, it gave me the less percentage of calories. So that's why that passes nutrianalysis. And the cheese fries with the broccoli, I did not make it, but we've had different things. And different kids that we see them bring them from home. And I'm going to make ours just like we do macaroni and cheese, except it's going to be that type of base, except it's going to be broccoli and rice. So I think if they eat our macaroni and cheese, they'll eat this. Well, having said that, those are mostly middle school, high school, and some Denver students. Numbers will fit in with some of those. And I also have some other ideas that we're going to try to implement for the younger children. My staff and I we knew, they've all been concerned the last couple of months, they just knew we're not making it. They knew. They know at the end of every week when they do their figures, they know their deposits, they know when they take the readings every day, it is lower. So between the staff and myself, we have come up with this idea that we can do this. Now we're going to make this work. So now having said this, I hope I'm standing here telling you next year we make this work. But I think we can do it. So I hope you like the items, and I thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Darlene.
So, I will tell you well. Rachel eats lunch and I downloaded the Pay Central app and I've been able to log on with that. And I see what she eats pretty much every day. I like that. I like all of your offerings. Ryan had a suggestion, take this hash and put it in a tortilla and with some salsa and make it a breakfast burrito.
Well, that is something that I have a list. I knew in January. And I just knew, I knew it was going to be bad, so I just started watching. I've got an array of things. I also have, we get popcorn chicken. And so I'm going to take a pita pocket and I'm going to do it with the popcorn chicken and the ranch. I gotta have the ranch for the little ones, and I think that, take that right out. And there's lots of things. I can make the same thing the Taco Bell is selling down there for $1 for breakfast, and that I can do for the younger buildings and stuff. No, but if you see something, get a picture of it and send it to me.
So one thing, I know Darlene's working really hard to try and increase participation, like she said. One of the things that I'm going to talk to Darlene about, maybe we need to do a blast call once a week, and maybe feature pictures of upcoming menu items to get people excited about it. And we can even email those out using our one call now system. Like your email, students get ready for this great chicken ranch, and send out pictures and making the kids excited about some of that stuff.
Amy and I have been working, and she said she can only do it with Andreas. Amy can put the things on some of our stuff, but not on the main website. And so I have a lot of new stuff, and this is part of it, my pictures of what we're doing and stuff. I want a whole new look on our food service site.
I was going to say that the new website will tremendously help with making photos look good. We could easily send something out every week. It'll go out on social media.
So no, that's in our, we just, you know what, I'm had it with that review. I worked a whole year on a review and you kind of lose sight of everything else. And so you know what, I'm over it. We are going to stop. Well, of course, we're going to get this. I'm not going to be the lowest one in the county.
We can do a weekly tweet of your featured meal for the following week.
Well, I may not.
But the high school put it on the TVs.
We can put it on, actually, we could put it on the TVs and all the lobbies of all the offices.
There is a lot of
If you
things.
want, we can put it as a background of every Chromebook in the whole district. So you can log in and see
Today's lunch.
Yeah.
Well, you're laughing, but I remember the day when the menu used to be in the newspaper. The school menu used to be in the newspaper every week.
Mrs. Babel, what is a newspaper?
Oh,
We
I'm
talked about that
sorry.
last night.
Yeah.
Now, you talked about advertising. I mean, it's advertising is what you're doing. I mean,
Well,
and
sure. I
you have a
know.
captive audience because they're all in the building. So if you can do it on the Chromebooks, it's not a bad idea. I mean,
That really isn't bad.
Yeah, no, or maybe tweet it out to the kids or
Yeah.
email it to them. They don't do email anymore, but yeah.
Daulbaugh can send that out instead of the snow day.
Well, what we could do too, we could create contests, the number of the school that has the best participation on the bacon cheeseburger day. I don't know, when's a nice coffee or
All I know is it was extremely good. I averaged.
Yeah, can we have this every night?
Okay.
You can turn this upside down.
Oh, okay. I thank you.
any other questions for Darlene?
Outstanding, thank you very much.
Great job.
I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but if you want to use us as guinea pigs for any future.
Oh, okay.
come up with,
Just bring it on, okay, no problem.
Absolutely.
When Darlene had the side issue, she goes, Mike, do you think the board would be okay if we had some food samples at the order? He's like, yeah.
When I was debating whether to give it to the executive session or here, and I was like, well, keep it hot, you know? So I said, well, I just keep it bring it out. Thank
I
you.
can tell you that I remember having lunch in high school a long time ago. And it didn't taste like any of that you just had up there, so.
You know, I do want to say that Darlene mentioned that she had a review this year, and it was very, very, are they every 3 years, Darlene?
Yes.
It's very, very intensive. And one of the comments that Darlene made to me, that the person that did her review, she had to make up something put down because Darlene's review was so perfect. And that's a testament to the hard work that Darlene does year in, year out, and that's not typical in school districts. Usually the reviews is kind of like an audit, and they usually find things that you need to improve upon, and Darlene's, she hit it out of the park. But I also know that throughout there, every time I call a snow day, and I would have a meeting with Darlene afterwards, she goes, you know, Mike, every time you call a snow day, we're losing money in our cafeterias. And it is true, and we had, unfortunately, we had a lot of employee illness this year, and that all counts against the bottom line. So I know that this was the first time in a lot of years we were in the red to finish the year with with food services, but there were a lot, 8 snow days killed us, and then a lot of employee sickness really hurt us too. So I think Darlene's ideas, I'm really excited about it. I think the kids are going to like it. She's getting very creative because she has to count every calorie and every grain and making sure everything, it's not just as easy as throwing the meal together. So if she does, bacon on a cheeseburger at 80-20 or 90-10, then something else has to give. And kids don't like the whole grain stuff. They don't like, and so she has to get creative with all of her counting in order to produce stuff like this. And she did artisan sandwiches this year. I think those were very popular. All the way down to the elementary, they were popular. So Darlene's going to really try and mix things up next year. And Darlene, anything I can do, and I'm going to speak for Andreas, even though he can probably speak for himself, anything we can do from social media, the website, to promote this, we'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
How did the iced coffee go over last year?
Well, when it started off, when we first started off in the building, we had the coffee. The regular coffee did not go well. Hot coffee. Now the iced coffee did. It went pretty good for probably the first month or so. And so we stayed with that. We just made one kind. We didn't offer a choice or anything. And so now when Mel makes it, she will make it on a Monday, and she said it'll take her Wednesday because it takes 4 gallons of milk for every term we make. And so she told me she probably gets 50, 3 or 4 days. Well, to me, that's not a whole lot, but the point is, it's made, it's in the container, and you don't do anything else to it other than ice. So some other schools are taking that on in the county this year. They said that's all you need, is iced coffee. But like I said, it's enough. I'm not going to get rich out of it, but I've got the stuff, products. I'm telling you, the basis for that stuff is like Twinkies. I think they're here, they're gone.
It's
So I'm not.
it's the offerings, I think, that they like the different offerings that are there.
I tell you, what does so well is the strawberry lemonade. Particularly when I buy whole strawberries and cut them up and put in it, but it's a strawberry lemonade base, and I'm going to buy Southbound. If you make 3 gallons, she sells 3 gallons.
Do you ever survey the kids? Do you ever survey them, like give them some little survey as they go through the line?
Well, we used to do that quite frequently, and we would start with the middle school, and sometimes we could get some good answers. A lot of the times they wanted shrimp, they wanted crab, they wanted.
So do I.
Yeah, I know, that's it. So then one time I met with one of the student councils, and they were interested in it for, maybe a couple of weeks or so, and that kind of went. My best thing is if they don't like it, they don't like it. And, but you know what I try to do? We have offer versus serve. And I actually did cut back the offerings because the more you offer, the more pricier it gets. And so I did cut back because we actually had 1.5 entrees. Now they varied, and so if that high school couldn't find something he liked by building us off a meal, I don't know what I could have done. So we've done some of that, but now I'm locked into, I've got to have stuff that's gluten-free for some of the children. I've got to have different things for different ones. So I don't put that on the menu, I just know I have that, and those children know what we have that, will work for them and things. But it changed a lot of time. And it'll change from building to building. Like these 6th graders now will be going to the 7th grade. So that would follow. Like we went for 2 years. The middle school set down there with the 8th graders, probably 65% of that whole class was grading. So now that followed down 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, now they're 11th grade. And so you can follow that through. And, but it's interesting. It's hard at SES. To start with, there's aren't many of them. And they have all the little corners. But you know what I did down there to give them a choice? We have the main item, and we have several that can't have a lot of stuff. So we made a turkey breast and mozzarella cheese sandwich on whole grain black bread. And I'm telling you, on a pizza day when school was finishing up, I could almost sell as many of that turkey breast as I could pizza. And I had a couple parents made the comment to me, well, is that all they have? But I've had more than one parent come or tell me on the phone, Mrs. Wheeler, I am so happy that you have that turkey breast that I have to reach. I cannot buy turkey breast at the local government. It is $6.99, $7.99 a pound. I don't care if my child gets that every day because it likes it. She said, I've got 3 kids. I can haul a pound of turkey breast. That's about a handful for each kid in a pound stock. So I'm sticking to that. Now, there are days that Debbie might make 80, 90 sandwiches and stuff. So you know what? If it works, it works. If that's what they want, that's going to be a deal. And then they choose their other items to go with it. So I kind of follow what the atmosphere of the building is. So let's see. You're getting very far this year. But
Once again, I just want to say you do a great job.
thank you.
We really appreciate everything.
Well, I've got a good staff. My ladies are all of them would go above and beyond. So it's not just me. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very good, thank you.
It's delicious.
Okay.
All right, moving on. Part of our requirements from the state of Ohio for safety and our safety plans, not only do we have to have a safety plan for every building that's unique to that building, and I have showed you guys that before. The safety plans themselves are confidential, but they include emergency protocols for virtually any situation. They include maps of the buildings, aerial views of the buildings, and labeling sides of the buildings. But one of the things we have to do, not only to have that, we have to practice. And there are 3 different types of practice. We do a functional, which is basically the principal's doing a fire drill, or the principal's doing maybe a tornado drill, an evacuation, a lockdown. Those are just called functional, where it's just the school community that practices. The second thing that we have to do, we have to do one of these within a 3-year period. So we have 3 things to do within a 3-year period. The second thing we have to do is what's called a tabletop exercise, and that's basically where somebody, and it normally would fall to the burden of the superintendent, would have to create a scenario and have all the key stakeholders at a table. That's why they call it tabletop. And you actually go through a scenario, and each person, as you progress through the scenario, have to tell you from their point of view and their role in the school community how they would respond to that scenario. And then the third type is a full scale, which you actually have to involve all of your safety forces, and you actually do a full scale event. So we could say we're going to practice an active shooter situation, and everyone would know about it ahead of time. And so then we would then on the day of that active shooter full scale, we would sound an alarm, and everyone would do what they were supposed to do in order to stay safe, including our safety forces responding, setting up a command tent, and then entering a building. So that would be a full scale. So this year, thank goodness we have Mr. Grimm on board, because Kevin took it upon himself to actually take us through a tabletop exercise. And I appreciated it because Kevin, as everybody knows in the room, is a fireman, and he's been a fireman for a lot of years. And so he's seen a lot of these types of scenarios in his career. So having Kevin create the tabletop exercise, to me, was actually more meaningful, and it was real. And so Kevin did that in every one of our buildings. He invited Portage County Emergency Management, city workers, our city safety forces, the city workers. Everyone was at the table. So we asked Kevin, the board, you guys all agree, I asked Kevin if he wouldn't mind taking this board through a tabletop exercise. So Kevin, I'm gonna hand it over to you, and he's gonna take us through a tabletop exercise.
Over here, nice to have food left. So this is fun because this is what I went to school for, and this is what we've been doing through the fire department more and more with our businesses, is doing more exercises and getting people ready for an emergency event. So, Andres, do you want me to say for you?
You can just tell me. And
Okay, go ahead. Yep. There's a lot of different hazards and threats that could affect our school. Some of the big ones are severe weather, mass illness, fire, a crash involving our students, whether they're on a bus or in their own private cars, on their way to school or on their way home. And then an intruder, we call it an active threat. It could be an active shooter, active stabber, active anything. Somebody that gets into the building that is actively threatening the building for whatever reason. Go to the next one. So there are some things that have been done to mitigate the effects of these. For severe weather, there's just a general situational awareness to incoming weather. May sound pretty simple, but a lot of people don't have that situational awareness. They want the government, the city, to tell them when the storm's coming. My response to that is look outside what they did back in the 1800s. Well, they were out in the fields and it got dark and they said, well, we better go in. There's a storm coming, and they went inside and the storm came. So situational awareness. We've got also weather radios in the buildings, internet access, apps on the phone, everything. We can go on to the next one. There's mass illness. The school enforces the inoculation requirements set forth by the state. We sanitize our buildings and buses when there's an issue. When a student or staff member is sick, they get sent home. And if necessary, the buildings would be closed and sanitized again. Going on to the next one, fire. All the buildings have fire alarms that report into a central location, immediately dispatch the fire department. Every building is equipped with fire sprinkler systems. Fire drills are conducted on a regular basis, and through the fire department, we recently modified those drills. Won't go into detail, we can talk about it in the executive session, but we recently modified the drills to make it safer for the students to exit and give the teachers another option should they find an active threat when the fire alarm is pulled. It may be a legit situation, or it may be somebody who's trying to do harm to our building. Strict attendance procedures. When the students get out of the building, if you've ever seen the fire drill process, all the staff members are taking count. And like I tell people at the fire station, is what you want to see when you get there is an equal number of colors. So if you see red, that could be a bad sign. You want to see 2, 4, 6, 8, because that means somebody's missing, somebody's been found. If we have all green, that's great, everybody's in the right place, but chances are that's not going to happen. The student's walking down the hallway to the bathroom, fire alarm goes off, everybody gets out of the building. One teacher's holding up red because that student's not with me, the other teacher's holding it up, I got him. And that's what we like to see. We don't really go out and look for it, but I tell the guys at the station, if you notice 2 reds, that's a good sign. So again, strict attendance procedures. And then another thing that we'll talk about more of is the FEMA incident management training. Going on to the next one, if there's a crash involving students, there's been bus driver training, and we hope to keep that going on. The radios on the buses are encrypted, so not anybody can listen to that. If you don't have the radio with the encryption on it as well, you will not hear the buses, which is a good thing because not everybody in the community needs to know where the buses are and what they're doing. There's been lessons learned from other incidents that we've had with our buses, and we've walked through those steps and made some positive changes. Again, the FEMA incident management training comes into play, which we'll talk about. And communication with public safety if a student is involved in a crash in their private vehicle. More so on the police side, because at the fire department, we can't tell you a lot about a student because of HIPAA reasons. So the police department can contact the school, tell them, hey, the student's been involved in the accident, what's going on, and get factual information to the school so that the school can get that out. Because the first thing that's going to happen, people are going to start getting on social media and saying this person's been involved in an accident, it looked bad, they're in the hospital, this happened, and before you know it, everything in the world happened to that person. Maybe they just had some minor scrapes and bruises. Next one, for the active threat, ongoing training with the police department. They continue to do training throughout the buildings with our staff. And I think they're planning on doing some more training coming up here over the summer. The doors are locked throughout the day. Certain time, all the doors are secured in the building. And if you don't belong in the building, you shouldn't be able to get in. Students are more aware of what's going on around the buildings. Like I said before, with other groups I've been in, the days of, hey, your mom's here, has changed into, oh crap, your mom's here. And that's a fortunate thing. Unless they're scheduled to be in the building, they're not supposed to be in the building. So students are more aware, there's more training, they have more resources available, not only to the students, but the staff on what to do in different situations. The tabletop exercises, along with the full scale and the functional exercises that Mike talked about, that we hope to keep going and continue to do every year. And again, back to the FEMA incident management training. Go to the next one. So there's all of our mitigation efforts. That's just touching on a few. There's so much more that the schools are doing that I couldn't begin to remember. But there's a ton of things that the schools do as a whole district and individual buildings on a regular basis. Next one. So we talk about this FEMA training. So who needs to take what? There's some courses that are required by local emergency management people, police, fire, EMS, emergency management. They're listed as IS 700. Those are the independent study courses. 800, 100 and 200 are now independent study courses as well. These are people that are going on first response to different types of emergencies, not necessarily supervisory. Even if you're a supervisor, you still have to take these courses. They're online at your page. You have to log in and get a number, a student number, take the course, pass the test, and get a certificate. As you move up and become a supervisor, you're required to take the ICS 300 and ICS 400 courses, which are the intermediate and advanced incident command. In classroom, they give you a lot of scenarios. And then beyond that, there's additional national incident management training, which deals with the incident command system for incident-specific positions, which we'll talk a little bit about here. At the fire department, all police department and fire department sworn staff need to have the independent study 7, 8, 1, and 200 courses. Fire chief, police chief, fire captains and lieutenants, police sergeants and lieutenants should all have 300 and 400 courses as well. There's several of us at the fire department that went to a lot of different incident-specific course trainings, so that as the structure gets built out, which you'll see in a minute, we can fill in those positions and help manage the incident. So I want to tie in what we're doing here at the school district. Mr. Suber, I think, is the one to keep up with the borough way. So I wanted to incorporate that here. Everything with an asterisk is what the school district, either administrators or other key staff have or may be doing in the near future, which I think is very unusual for the schools. I don't know of any other schools in our area that are doing this yet. I think it's a good idea to have this training. It brings staff members up to a level to where they need to be to interact appropriately with emergency response personnel. When we get to a scene of an incident, a fire alarm, a fire, any type of situation, we have a structure. We call people certain things: incident commander, operations chief, resources unit leader, so on and so forth. We don't expect everybody in the world to know what those things are, but especially after our bus accident, if we have a big incident and the superintendent's there, he knows that you need to be part of incident command. It now becomes what's called unified command. And they work together to make decisions. There will be no staff members that will be put in harm's way. So if we have somebody who's acting as a safety person for the school, they work with our safety officer. They're not necessarily going into a dangerous area, but give us key information. That can be maintenance, custodian, making TV calls, for instance. Basically telling them, go in here, do that to shut that down. Don't touch this, you're going to make it worse. And we direct our people to do just that. Then again, police staff, for different responsibilities, there's additional training. There's those courses. There is a specific one for schools, IS 100 SCA. It's the Introduction to Incident Command for Schools, which I believe Mike and maybe Harry have gone through so far, and maybe some other staff members. The website is down there. We can pass that on to you if anybody wants to take those courses. You first sign on to FEMA, get your student ID number, register for the courses, take the courses. The other courses, ICS 300 and 400, are taken throughout the state of Oregon. Register through the state website for that. So if you're interested and you want to have a great time. Moving on. So going along with the borough way, be responsible, on task, respectful, and one person can make a difference. Our administration has recognized the need for advanced training that's not required to better manage emergency situations. Staying on task, the advanced and ongoing training keeps personnel on task during an emergency. They know their role and the role of others. We're respectful towards each other. The attitudes and egos are left at the door. We work together regardless of position or title. And one person can make a difference. And it's going to pop up here hopefully in a second. There it is. That is a no-brainer, because you just think about it and say, why don't we do this? And a lot of places don't. They get there and they stand back and say, so the fire department tells us, or the police department tells us what to do, go ahead and do it. That's not how things are supposed to work. So that's the structure. One of the ways that it can be laid out, the structure. Every incident starts with an incident commander, and then we move down and side to side depending on what that incident is. We use this every day at the fire station. The police department uses it somewhat. They respond to calls differently than we do. Anytime you get into bigger incidents, citywide, countywide, statewide, that's what they do. We've been trained by people through the Ohio Incident Management Team that is kind of now defunct, but they've been called out as a state team all across the United States for different hurricanes. That's their structure. That's our structure that we use, that the state uses, the national uses. So anybody can go anywhere, as long as you have the standard training, you know what everybody else is talking about. That's why we brought it to the school, because we need to be able to understand what each other's doing. So we brought this, as Mike said, we brought this to the schools. We started at the middle school on February 14th, went to Denver on February 20th, the high school on March 6th, and to the elementary school on March 8th. We had school staff involved. Every school is a little bit different depending on who's available. Office staff, custodial, maintenance staff, principal, superintendent, assistant superintendent. Fire department staff were involved. I was there as a facilitator, as Mike was as well. We brought in from the police department, fire department, on-duty people, shift commanders,